Shalom. Welcome to the Messianic Hour with Rabbi Scott Seculo. The Messianic Hour is a program designed to give you insight into the Jewish roots of your faith. Rabbi Scott is also here to answer your questions and help you gain a deeper understanding of Bible prophecy. And now, here's your host, Rabbi Scott Seculo.
Shalom and welcome to another edition of the Messianic Hour. I'm your host, Rabbi Scott. The show is dedicated to reaching the lost and educating the found. I'm here with my wife, Judy, as we come to you each and every week and share the good news of our Messiah through the Jewish roots of our faith. And we have an exciting show for you. We're going to be looking at the marriage of Isaac, or I should say the picking of his wife, and how that relates to our Messiah. It's a really neat connection. And then on the second half of the show, we're going to really talk about in-depth our trip to Israel and why you should go with us. We still have time for you to sign up. We were able to reserve a couple more airline tickets. That's a key thing with the trip to Israel. So if you haven't, you've been wanting to make a decision, you still have time to join us on this trip. It's going to be just a wonderful opportunity. It's a nice, smaller group this time. It's going to be a very intimate group, and then you'll be able to have a lot more information. We'll probably add a couple more places in here and there because we'll have time.
Okay. Don't give it all away yet.
I won't give it all away yet, but it's
you like
be a
to
lot
do
of
that.
fun.
But one thing we really need to talk about
is Passover.
Yes, because Passover is going to be here before we know it.
That's right.
We're less than a month away. I don't want to think about that. But we really, if you're in the metro Atlanta area, we would love for you to come celebrate with us at our
in person,
physically sitting in a seat at our building. On March 29th and March 30th, we do two of them. They're you can pick either night that works with your schedule. They're both the same. The only thing that makes them different is the questions that people will ask during the dinner.
And the jokes. The ones on Saturday will be better because the ones
because you already know the ones on Friday that don't work.
That's right, so they go out.
Yeah. And you recycle jokes, but we won't go there either.
Yes, we do. That's a Jewish thing.
Yes, it is. So anyway, we would love for you to come. You can go and we do require reservations. We do require payment with this because it's a 4-course meal. It's a soup, a salad, your main course.
But it's a really good 4-course meal.
Well, I cook it.
It's not your typical, church-style meal.
No, I oversee all the cooking, and if I'm going to cook it, it's going to taste good. Sorry, I don't mean to sound prideful, but that is my motto, that if we're going to eat, it's going to taste good.
The food always comes out hot. I mean, it's amazing the quality of
we put a lot of thought and effort into this, and then you actually have dessert, but then you also have the elements on the table, right. And it's interactive. And one thing that we're doing this year is you're actually going to get to take your Haggadah, your order of service. You're going to get to take your Haggadah home with you. So if you have 4 people who come, you get 4 Haggadahs to take home, and then you've been through it yourself. You've experienced it. Takes the fear out of it, and then you can do it next year with your family.
And we're going to work on trying to be able to do something for our virtual members
also,
where they can also download, at least be able to download, or maybe we'll mail them an actual Haggadah afterwards so they can actually have a temporary one but actually have the real one as well. So check that out. Go to the website, rabbiscott.com. There's a link to the Beth Adonai Passover Seder, Community Passover Seder. We would love for you to come with us. Join us there. It'll be a great opportunity. When we get back, we're going to be looking at picking the wife of Isaac, how that relates to the bride of Messiah. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Messianic Hour.
Welcome to the Messianic Hour. I'm Judy Seculo, and I'm glad you're listening, watching, however you're interacting with us today.
We can do all of that now.
Yes.
We have YouTube, we have Vimeo, we have GodTube, we have Twitter, we have Facebook. We have both apps on Droid and
Apple.
There's no reason why people say I can't get in touch with you. We have it all there. I really want to encourage you. Let your friends know about it too. Join us at our Twitter account is the @Rabbi_Scott, and join up there. We had some interesting conversations.
Actually, I want to give a shout out to James.
James in the UK, right?
James in the UK. He listens to us, and we're friends on Facebook now, and glad that he's listening to us in this little village.
You know, there was a lady who came this last week, and her daughter listens all the time, and she told me her name, and I completely went blank. It was at the service,
had a rabbi
and
moment.
I forgot to write it down, but whoever you are, you know who you are. Your mom came to the service, And she told us that you listen online, so thank you for listening. And,
Okay, back to the subject at hand. The subject at hand here. We are going to be in Genesis chapters 23 through 25 this week. So this is our focus, and we're, again, as we always say, we're looking to find Messiah in the Torah.
Right, and this week's Torah portion, just to give them a kind of an outline, if they haven't read it yet or haven't had a chance to go back, deals with the death of Sarah and the choosing of the wife for Isaac. And that's really what we're going to focus on as how it points to the Messiah in the Torah. And we're going to see that, although this is one of those scriptures that is not a set-in-stone Messiah account.
Well, and it's really interesting that this is probably one where you don't necessarily see Messiah in it. And in fact, Edersheim doesn't list anything from these verses as it relates, as the ancient rabbis have studied it. But for those of us that are believers, and we know Messiah came, he died, he rose, we know his work, we can find him in this. And I'm not here to say that this is the end-all, be-all, whatever, but I think you can really, really make some interesting parallels looking back through history. And, you know, when the rabbis were making commentaries on this, Messiah hadn't come yet. He wasn't there. But
some of the commentaries were, but they were ones who didn't believe yet, and so without having that understanding, you really can
again,
see it.
I think you can look at this, and really, as you said, you're seeing the desire of the Father.
Right.
And that Father word can be used both ways, Father as in Abraham, but also Abba, Father, one in heaven. And what is that desire of the Father? For Abraham, it was seeking a bride for Isaac.
Right. Well, and you have to kind of go back a little to a couple chapters with the sacrifice of Isaac, because there, obviously, we see the parallel between Isaac and Yeshua being the sacrifice, and now we're seeing the picking of the bride of Isaac and how that's going to parallel to picking of the bride of Yeshua. And there's some really interesting things that we're going to see in that, and that's really what we want to focus on.
Well, but before you jump there, I'm going to go back just a minute.
Okay.
That when God provided the sacrifice of the ram just at the right time for Isaac, we really see Isaac representing us who are saved from death as the substitute, but also he serves as an illusion of the sacrifice. He can picture the one who was sent to die according to the will of his Father in heaven. And just as God had decreed before the foundations of the world were laid that Messiah was going to have to come and die, so too Isaac was going to be offered as a sacrifice. So you've got two different illusions that are there. But again, just kind of speaking metaphorically, looking back through history, just as Abraham desired to find a son for Isaac and a son for Isaac. Well, a son eventually came, but as Abraham desired to find a bride for Isaac, just so the Heavenly Father desires to find a bride for his son.
Right, and we know, of course, the bride is those who have received Yeshua as their Messiah into their heart. And what's interesting also, Judy, is that Abraham sends his servant to find the bride. And it's neat because the servant asks God for a sign.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we have so many people, and this time was very specific.
Yes.
And it happened instantly. In fact, he almost couldn't get the words out of his mouth before it actually came to fruition. And we see another aspect of it, too, is that when he went, he shared the story. Just like we share the faith of our Messiah, what he did for us, and then the person had to make their own decision.
Well, Abraham sent his servant to prepare the way, and we know that John prepared the way for Messiah also.
And so the door was open, no pun intended, for our Passover people. That the Elijah came to prepare that way, open the door for that faith to be able to come in, and we see such a beautiful connection between the two. And I think a lot of people miss that we see how this all comes together and how we understand that connection between us being that bride and him going and picking a bride. And an interesting thing too, he has to pick a bride among his own. that unequally yoked thing comes into play as well.
And also, when he went to pick the bride, again, the bride had to, first of all, believe. I mean, he brought gifts and things like that, but she had to believe it was going to happen. She had to act. And just as Messiah, the divine plan of Adonai was to send his son to accomplish salvation, it doesn't just happen.
Right.
We have to believe and we have to act.
And she does it on blind faith.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't get to see a picture of him. Oh, is he cute? All she knows.
It's not the age of internet dating.
That's right. It's not internet dating. She has to go by what God has chosen for her.
It's the eternalmatch.com.
That's right.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
That was good.
Couldn't resist that one. We're having a little fun today, guys. we start.
I'm the one with the bad jokes, I thought.
Yes.
That was good, though.
Are.
Very good, dude. You see, I'm speechless because I'm in
because I've been around you way too long.
24 lovely years.
But anyway, go ahead.
But we really see that connection and how it comes together.
I've got him laughing.
Yes, you do. And I'm still in shock. And how it plays off of that picture so well of that choice that has to be made. And that's really what we see here in this, how it comes together and understanding her faith in this situation as well. That she is being brought to the person she can live with the rest of her life, to give her love to. And that unconditional love doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter what you have or don't have. God has joined them together. Let what God has brought together, what was said at our wedding, let no man do it under. Let no one take it away. No one break it up. And we see a beautiful picture of that here.
And if you really kind of look at the parallels, first Abraham decreed that Isaac should die as a sacrifice.
Right.
Then as a godly father, he desires to find a godly wife for this one whom he offered as a sacrifice. And again, as you said, it wasn't Isaac who sought out the bride. It was the father who sought it out. And it's the same way that Adonai sent his son as a sacrifice for us.
You were just saying that, and I just got a revelation because you see both of them getting this, it's, the bride comes after the picture. After Yeshua's death, he goes and gets the bride. So it's chosen for him and how it's come together. So they're both received at the end also. Right,
and one thing we were talking about too is we know that Adonai sent his son to accomplish salvation for his bride, but he also sent the Spirit.
Right.
Again, we had John coming before Messiah. Now we've got the Spirit coming who will help open the eyes of those to accept the bridegroom.
Both were considered dead. Both were raised from the dead because Isaac was considered dead because of the sacrifice. And yet after that, the bride was given to him. We now see the same thing with Yeshua, his death and resurrection. Now we are that bride coming to him. It's a beautiful connection of how it all comes together.
And again, we're not saying that this is hard and fast. We're just saying look at it with open eyes, look at it understanding the history, understanding it in context, and you really, really see some parallels between Abraham finding a bride for his son Isaac and Adonai finding a bride for his son Yeshua.
Right. Both their firstborn, both being that beautiful picture of the promise that God has for us and that salvation that we get through the blood atonement. That's what we have to have, blood atonement. God required an animal, gave us that substitute. Yeshua became the ultimate sacrifice, the ultimate substitute as the one who has forgiven our sins. Not only forgiven them, but wiped them clean for both Jew and Gentile alike. If you want more information, go to our website, RabbiScott.com. You can sign up for our newsletter and get a free book, I Have a Friend Who's Jewish to You, and a prophecy card, 70 of the key prophecies, where they're found in the Torah, where they're fulfilled in the renewed covenant. While you're there, remember we are a listener-supported show. You can donate online, or there are post office information is also there as well. Remember, you can get our Droid app and our iPhone app, the YouTube, Vimeo, all there on YouTube. The full show is now on in the video. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this.
Welcome to the Messianic Hour. I'm Judy Seculo, and I'm glad that you're with us today.
Cool
as
music.
we've
That's one of my favorite songs.
Oh,
Go ahead.
yeah, we need the rabbi dance.
Yes, the rabbi.
Everything that you guys don't get to see, but everybody in the studio gets to see.
See. Thank you, Joe. If they go on the trip, they can watch me dance.
Honey, please don't say that, then nobody will go.
I'm not a bad dancer.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Yeah,
She's
you're not
on a
bad.
roll tonight.
You're not a bad
you guys
singer
had tuned
either,
in.
are
Oh,
you?
no, I definitely cannot sing.
Thank you.
I won't go there.
Thank you. But talking about Israel
Yes.
and going to Israel, we have a trip planned to Israel, March 3rd through the 13th, 3rd through the
June 3rd through the 13th.
March?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. There's just too much going on
There's
right
a lot
now.
going on. You had
June 3rd through the 13th, we're going to Israel. We kind of planned this trip for those of you who may work in a school system,
Right.
a teacher. We know it's really hard for you guys to get your time off, so we kind of planned this during your summer break so that it opens it up to more people. But we
and kids
also
can come too, teenagers and stuff.
right. We also planned it during the summer months where your weather is usually now you have hot weather,
This
but you
would
don't
be a
necessarily
nice time
have
of year.
yeah, you don't have the rain. We went the year that it rained, but we had prayed for rain, so our prayers were answered while we were in Israel
Right.
because it rained. But it's also you've got longer daylight hours,
Right.
and with longer daylight hours means that you can spend those extra few moments at this site, or you can actually add more into your day. And
Our
because
tour company, who's doing it, who by the way he's not a believer. He's actually an Orthodox Jewish man who loves what we're doing. He loves this trip. He goes, you guys have planned. He goes, this is the best trip we have planned, and he can't believe our prices because
yeah.
others will add stuff in. And we really at $3,999, it is a steal for the amount of time and the number of places that they're going to see in the land.
And we're hitting, we hit all the places around the Galilee.
Right.
And we do the very special thing with Danny Carmel,
Who is a Jewish believer who
with-
owns a boat.
owns a boat. So
And unlike me, he can sing.
Yes, he can.
It's one of my favorite things, being on the Sea of Galilee, and literally having
a concert.
worship, a
A
concert.
worship. Well, it's not a concert. You're more right. Worship.
It is
It's
worship.
a worship experience on the Sea of Galilee, and you're able to see the mountains
Right.
that surround, and it's just such a touching moment. I think if we probably surveyed the people who went on our last trip and asked them, I bet that would really rank one of the
it's-
highest up there.
We add those little things. I mean, everyone goes on a boat ride. Not everyone goes on a boat ride with a believer, and you have a time of worshiping the Lord on the Sea of Galilee.
Right.
He stops. It's not this rush, let's go get him off. It's a great time. Capernaum, my favorite place. I love, there's always the wall and all that, but Capernaum, where the temple is that Yeshua actually preached
Well, Capernaum really shows you a good synagogue, but what we
Yeah.
added this time was Chorazim.
That's right.
And you and I haven't been to Chorazim in a long
time.
time. But the one thing that I still really, really remember there is what they call the seat of Moses.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
I'm hoping it's still there because we
I'm
haven't
sure
been
it
there.
is.
As I'm talking about it, let's
sure
hope
it
it's
is.
still there. But and Yeshua says, "Oh, woe to Chorazim! You're going to a place that Yeshua
Right.
mentioned."
And another one of my favorite places, when the first time I ever went to Israel, we stayed at the kibbutz right under this, is Mount Bentel. And it's actually a military site. It's actually a tourist site now, but within 3 hours can be a fully operational fort. And it's amazing. It's right out on the border, and you can see everything that's going on.
Well, and again, because we have longer hours in the day, Israel is very long. It's narrow, but it's long.
Right.
So you've got to have time to go from place to place.
Right.
And with longer hours in the daylight, we're actually going to go up to the Banyas.
Right. We haven't done that in a couple of trips.
Right. You've
The
got
Nazarite
you've got
village, which we just added.
you've got Caesarea Maritime, which is
Right.
where Paul was, but this is Caesarea also.
Right.
So we're going to go there because we've got the time. But here's the thing. We're saying, oh, you're going to have time, you're going to be on a bus. But our tour guide, who we have worked with and we
Right.
love him, he is going to sit there and he's going to teach you as you're on the bus. He's going to be pointing out things to you while you're on the bus. So it's not like you're just going to sit on the bus and sleep. Now, you can if you want to, but you're going to miss a whole lot if you do that.
Louis, who actually is a French Gentile believer who's been in the land now, has been over 30 years. Phenomenal knowledge, but loves the Lord. And unlike a lot of other tours who use just a tour guide who might not be a believer, it's night and day. When you have a believer who's your guide, and that's why we do it this way, we know him, he knows us. He doesn't bring all the cheesy people on to try to sell you stuff. And ladies, we know where the good shops are. We have, people. It's funny because we go into Ben Yehuda Street,
and they know us.
They know us by name.
Which I'm not sure if that's a good thing.
Danny Boy, and all of them. But it's that connection, and they know that when we come in, they're going to give our people a better deal because we have a reputation.
What you have to understand with that is you negotiate in Israel.
Yes,
you don't pay just the price. Now, certain stores, you go to a grocery store, you're going to pay the price. But in the shops and things like that, you're mostly going to kind of negotiate, especially
if you pay full price, they love you really much because no one pays full price.
Especially in Ben Yehuda Street and in the Arab market, because we do go there too. But you just to be in the city. I mean, you can't understand the Bible. I'm sorry, guys. You cannot understand the Bible when you live in the United States and you're in the concrete village. You're in the concrete city. Right. All of this. You don't have a point of reference, and it's just like somebody until they become a parent.
Right.
You don't understand what it is.
You're saying that. We had never gone to Nazareth because,
we
and
went
they now have a village that's run by the YMCA. It's all Christian people who work in it, but because it's in the Palestinian area, they're usually restricted. Mm-hmm. The woman, as we were going around, realized I was a Messianic rabbi, and asked. They have a little temple like
a synagogue
that was like at the time of Yeshua. And she asked me to come, and they unrolled the scroll, and I got to read from it. And then she said, "Would you like to say anything else?" Of course, asking a rabbi that's. But not only did I get to share there, but other groups came in, and it was really just an amazing time. So you're going to see things that other trips do, but we take that to that extra step, and that's really what's different. Let's do a quick rundown of some of the places you're going to see, just to see. A lot of trips, sometimes you see these real low-ball trips, and they're called a green ticket, and it's just going to see the national parks. We do so much more, and our prices are right there with it. We're going to go to Caesarea, Megiddo. We'll be in Tiberias, the boat ride, Ginnazor, Capernaum, Chorazin, the Banyas, the Golan Heights, Mount Bentel. We're going to be the Nazareth, Seppori, the Garden of Gethsemane, also the Jordan River. We're going to do a mikveh. You'll be able to be mikveh if you want there. Why don't you read some of the other ones?
I'm bringing it up, honey.
You're bringing it up. Safat, Bet Shean, Mount Scopus, the Western Wall, the Southern Wall.
Masada,
Qumran, the Golden Tomb, the Israel Museum, right? We're not just going to go see the scrolls and
the Dead Sea Scrolls,
the temple, the model of Jerusalem. We're actually going to spend time in there, and they had some new exhibits.
Thank you. Who pushed for that?
You did.
Who pushed for that? Thank you.
You did.
Thank you.
And we love you for it. You're going to have time to shop, and the shopping is on our. We actually have places to shop, not the tourist traps. The real places to shop.
But you're going to be in the Old City, and in the Old City, you're going to see the burnt house, the Herodian mansion.
The Pool of Bethesda.
You're going to go in the Rabbi's Tunnel. The Rabbi's Tunnel is like the ultimate because you're actually walking along the walls. And then the Opel Garden.
The Opel
Garden is probably, yes.
But wait, there's more. Act Now. The Temple Institute. Great. These are Orthodox people who are rebuilding the elements of the temple. We have a great relationship with them. They're going to be there. We're going to tour that. We're going to have guest speakers come. We'll have dancing.
And one thing we do, too, is coming into Jerusalem, we go to Mount Scopus.
That's right.
They have a place where you can stop, and you're overlooking the Old City. You're overlooking the Temple Mount. We break out a bottle of wine or grape juice, and we say the Shehekianu. Thank you for bringing to us for a time such as this.
Exactly.
And it's such a introduction to the city.
And ushering in Shabbat.
At the wall.
At the wall.
You have to experience.
Go to our website, rabbiscott.com. You click on the left-hand side. It says Trip for Israel. You can sign up. $39.99. It is a great deal. That includes all the taxes and stuff. There's no hidden fees or anything. Check it out at the website. We got a couple spots left. Join us. Bring your family. It will change your life. Until next week, this is Rabbi Scott
and Judy
saying shalom and pray for the peace of Jerusalem.